Something that we have been focusing on immensely at AppNexus over the past year is mobile, which I'm trying very hard to say as opposed to mobile, which is how we say it in the States, which doesn't make any sense. But mobile is a huge focus for us. It's the future of the internet. Almost a quarter of all internet traffic is now coming from mobile devices. And here to talk more about it, I'd like to introduce our VP of Global Accounts, Brandon Payne.
Thanks, Brian, and hello. After nearly a decade at Google, it is terrific to be here among such palpable energy and passion and focus. And that, of course, applies to our clients. So I'm very pleased to introduce today Nicholas Biden. Nicholas is the Managing Director of the UK for Xaxis, one of our largest partners here at AppNexus, but he also comes from Yahoo. So he's got a unique perspective on both the buy and the sell side. Moreover, Nicholas is a real thought leader when it comes to mobile. So today he's going to take us through a little bit of what the current environment is, and I think more importantly, where we might be going. So welcome, Nicholas.
Good morning. So I thought I'd start this session with telling you a little more about Xaxis in case you've never heard about us. So Xaxis is basically part of WPP, the world's largest communication group. And what we do is we leverage data and technology to help large advertisers, the likes of Sky, BT, Barclays, Ford, to name just a few, reach and better understand their audiences at scale across the wider digital landscape. And about a month ago, we soft launched our first Xaxis mobile offering in the UK. I just wanted to share with you why we did it and why we think it's important. So why did we did it? Well, simply because we think 2013 is going to be the year of mobile. So if, like me, you've been in the industry for a while, you might say, again, because you've probably heard that for the last 5 years at least, every single year. But I do think that things are changing, and we may have reached a tipping point. So I just wanted to share a few data points with you. First, in the UK, we have a fantastic install base. You can see some statistic on that chart, 43 million smartphone subscription estimated in 2013. And in fact, this is growing very rapidly. According to Comscore, last Christmas, out of every 10 new phones that were purchased, about 8 of them were smartphones. The infrastructure is getting much better as well, right? We got EE launched 4G last year. 3G coverage is improving every day. So what that means is it's really driving a change of media consumptions. And actually, I was looking at some numbers from Comscore for a couple of months ago. I think it was in February. That were pretty staggering. Something along the line that a quarter of mobile page views mobile page views represented a quarter of all page views generated on the internet in the UK. So that's a pretty staggering figure. And in fact, if you add tablets, which is another rapidly growing segment, you get to about a third of the inventory if you're a publisher in the UK today being generated on mobile on average. So pretty staggering figures from an audience point of view. But as Brandon said, I used to be on the publisher side at Yahoo and being in charge of mobile revenue there. And every time I had that conversation with our country manager, James Waldman, the first thing he always told me was, that's fine, but where's the money? And I think that's why for the last 5 years, it hasn't been the year of mobile yet. But there again, I think if you look at some of the data points, things are moving fast. Sorry, I'm having issue with the clicker. Here we go. So that's some recent estimates from eMarketers saying that this year, the mobile advertising category will be close to a very cool £1 billion. So that's serious money out there. And out of that, sure, a lot of it is still search. I think it's about 600 million of the total. But the display alone opportunity is close to 300 million this year. And more importantly, it's continuing to grow rapidly. About 50% projected growth for the next 2 years. So I think we got the audience, we got the money. What are we waiting for? Might be your next questions. But more important than that, I think mobile advertising itself as a separate category is becoming maybe a bit of a misnomer because the lines are blurring. I just looked at a couple of examples of recent advertising I saw on my mobile. And I just wanted to share some with you. So if you look at this, that's a Facebook mobile ads in my newsfeed. You could ask yourself, is that we love to put things in buckets, right? There's like the mobile bucket, the rich media bucket, you might have your search bucket. But you look at this and you're like, is this a brand advertising? Is it DR? Is it brand response? Is it mobile? Is it social? I can share it with my friends. I can comment on it. I can like it. Same thing, taking an example from our partner Undertone, just launched responsive ad units that you can run across multiple screens. So that's a rich media execution on an iPad. So what is that? Is that a mobile budget? Is that just part of what should be every rich media campaign? You get the point. Another example from Tumblr, we just launched some sponsored feeds unit in their newsfeed. Again, is it native? Is it social? Is it display? Is it mobile? It's probably all of the above, right? So the lines are blurring because the reality is we're all living already into a multi-screen world. Actually, as I'm saying that, somebody's taking a movie on his iPhone. So maybe quick show of hands, how many of you have been looking at your phone or tablet while I've been starting this presentation? Okay, quite a few. So hopefully it's because you're tweeting about how great it is and not because you're bored to death. But you get the point. And simultaneous activity, so watching two screens at the same time or close to the same time is one of the behavior we are starting to see emerging as part of this multi-screen world. The second one, which also from a marketer's perspective is very interesting, I think, is sequential activity. So this is an interesting piece of research that Google did in the US this summer. And basically, it's looking at different activities that people start on one screen and actually complete or finish on another one. So if I look at the fourth one there from the left, planning a trip, right? So 47%, but that may be looking for their next vacation and start doing this actually on their mobile phone, maybe waiting for the bus going to work. They might continue to then research that, at work on their desktop, and which is what 45% of them already do in the US, according to the study. And again, sometimes they might continuing and even book it from their tablet on their couch in the evening. So if you're a large advertisers, like many of those who work with us, let's say you're TUI, to take a real example in the UK, it's very important in this multi-screen world for you to understand that customer journey, because it's super important if you want to sell your product or connect with them, to understand, what ad should you show them, at what time, and on what device. So that's the new reality we're living in. And I think the stakes are really big, right? We talked 1 billion mobile category, narrowly defined in 2013. But if you look at the differences that still exist in terms of media consumptions and advertising spend, this is the famous Mary Meeker slides that she updates now every year at Digital Deals conference. That's US number, but I'm sure the UK doesn't look that different. You can see there's still a massive imbalance between digital spend when it comes to internet in general and mobile in particular. So we're going to see this opportunity continuing to grow, both driven by larger audiences and driven by the understanding that from a marketer's point of view, you live today in a multi-screen world and you have to engage on a multi-screen basis. So we at Daxis, we want to be part of the solution and part of the solution for two of our main constituents. So I think the first one, which are, of course, the advertisers. Sorry, I'm still probably not pointing the clicker where I should. So for advertisers, what we want to do is help them, again, understand that journey. It's a complex world out there. Understand the true impact of mobile in the overall purchase cycle, understand the role tablet play in brand awareness, and help them reach these audiences on the right device at the right time with the right ad. So we basically want to remove we want to increase efficiency and remove friction that we find are really ripe in the mobile market today. For publisher, which are a very important partner for a company like WPP, what we feel is we want to bring the standard of quality of advertising on mobile up. We want to also bring more money to them. And we want to overall reduce the monetization gap that, let's face it, exists today on mobile if you're a large publisher. So we want to do this, but there's many obstacles in the way. It's not going to be an easy ride. I just wanted to share a few of those challenges that I think we have to solve as an industry over the next 12 to 18 months to make this a reality. So the first one is fragmentation. I think the ecosystem right now is very fragmented. It's not very dissimilar in a way to the way that maybe traditional display was about 10 years ago. You still have lots of little audiences and inventory in various places. There's no real standardization when it comes to format, specifically if you're trying to do rich media and things that are a little more appealing. And I think that's standing in the way of large advertisers who are interested in scale to really massively invest in this category. The second one is measurement and attribution. I think, as I said, it's a complex world out there. You may start something and be influenced by an ad you see on your mobile, but then actually purchase on your tablet within a 24-hour window. And in a cookie-less environment, which is what mobile is, essentially, it's very hard to look properly at attribution and to be able to do things like sequential marketing. So that's one thing that I think, again, as an industry, we have to put our brains together and try to solve to unlock the big spend that potentially could benefit all of us. And the last one is data. I talked about cookie-less environment. There's, even within mobile itself, it's difficult sometimes to look at attribution of conversions, depending on if you saw the first ad in an app, for instance, and saw the second one into your mobile browser. And if you try to do that across screen, again, it's quite difficult. And there's not a lot of technologies out there to help us solve this challenge today. There's a few people trying different things, but none of it is really proven. There's also a very rapidly evolving regulatory environment. And I think as an industry, we have to make sure we do this carefully, of course, respecting the privacy of the users and respecting the regulation. So those are, three of the main challenges that I think are still standing in the way of mobile really delivering on its promise in a multi-screen world, which is the reality of today. It's going to be a difficult road. I'm sure we'll make a few wrong turns. We might left a few people behind. But again, that's what we need to do as an industry. And if you're a publisher in this room or an advertiser, I'd really encourage you to embrace this new world and to help drive the change. So come talk to us, work with us. We can do this, and the stakes are high. Thank you.
We have time for some questions, so please have a seat, Nicholas.
Thank you.
And thank you for your comments. It strikes me, I'm taken by what you said last, that in an atmosphere, an ecosystem of fragmentation where there's a premium on data and execution, that's not trivial. So against that backdrop, how is Xaxis differentiating yourself?
So I think, specifically talking about the mobile offering we launched about a month ago, and again, it was sort of a soft launch. I think at the moment, what we're trying to do is much more taking the stance of being in the game. So I don't think to this day our offer is, massively differentiated or leaps ahead of the competition. I wish I could say that. But the reality is, again, it's a difficult journey. I think, mid to long term, the way we will differentiate and bring more value to our advertisers is leveraging the same assets we have today on the desktop or traditional, if you want, display advertising world, which is massive scale, proprietary technology, especially when it comes to data management platforms and being careful about how you onboard and leverage the data that we have at our disposal. And of course, partnerships with premium publishers with privileged access.
Okay. And so what would you say, for example, to the advertiser who is on the sidelines today, who is not sure if they should come in, who's thinking about waiting another couple of years?
Well, I think, hopefully some of the stats I've shared with you this morning really show that the train has left the station, right? 30% of basically the page views on the internet being generated on mobile and tablet, to me is pretty striking. The other one I was reading, which is interesting, is I think last Christmas, basically 1 in 5 transactions were completed on mobile for the large retailers, the eBays and Amazons of the world. So again, that's the reality. The multi-screen reality is there. Do you want to really let others foray in there and reap the benefits, or do you want to join the action?
Right, interesting. So we've got some of the largest publishers in Europe here in the room. If you could communicate one thing, or if there's one thing you could change about publishers and the way they treat mobile, what might that be?
Right. So again, I think one of the key issues standing in the way of large customers spending more on mobile is scale. So I think whatever you do in terms of your mobile strategy, come talk to people like us who obviously are behind a large amount of spend, and let's try to do together something that scale. I'll give you an example. I mean, if you do a very cool proprietary ad unit with all sorts of bell and whistles, but at the end of the day, you bring a reach of 500,000 users. That's not very interesting for people like Sky, right? So when you look at mobile, again, let's not do the same mistakes that you could say we've done in display for a long time, and everybody trying to do their own thing. Let's maybe leverage the great technologies we have today to really go towards a little more standardization and make it easier for people to reach their audiences at scale on those platforms.
Okay, great. So finish this sentence for us. Mobile advertising is most valuable when?
Spend via Xaxis. No, sorry, I'm just... Sorry, I couldn't resist. No, it's most valuable when, I think, when it's an intrinsic part of your campaign. So basically, I think, again, people love buckets, right? And when you do media plan, they're going to say, OK, I'm going to spend X on video, I'm going to spend X on rich media, and X on mobile. Well, the truth is, today, you can deliver very efficiently some great mobile advertising on mobile and tablet. So again, think about it not so much about as a separate category, but about how you can leverage the medium in everything that you want to do for your advertisers for that specific campaign.
Great. Point well taken. We're just about at time, but it sounds like the challenges are formidable but fixable, and into thinking of a multi-screen world to still coordinate campaigns and users is one. And if your charts are correct, there's huge investment opportunity for all of us. So thank you very much, Nicholas.
Thank you.